Darwin McCredie. I'm an Ojai resident, 908 Tico Road. I'm an architect with over 40 years of experience. Prior to moving to Ojai 12 years ago, I lived in San Francisco for 29 years, working for the architecture firm of Hornberger Wistell, which specializes in hotel design. While living in San Francisco, I was a member of San Francisco Heritage for 20 years. I've been a member of the National Historic Trust for 30 years. While at Hornberger Wistell, I taught a college-level class on hospitality design, hotels, and restaurants. I also was lead architect on the renovation and restoration of the Hotel del Coronado, a National Historic Trust property. So I have a deep understanding of the issues that come before us tonight. I've reviewed all of the materials submitted by the applicant. I understand the space plans very well. I understand the sections, the drawings, and I also understand the space planning and design challenges they face. It's very clear. I have also reviewed the staff report in detail, and I find it deeply troubling and its apparent effort at obfuscation and its disregard of the work and the words of the Historic Preservation Commission. The report seems to be designed to create confusion on this landmark, over the landmarking process, over what is landmarked and what types of alterations are allowed under the Ojai landmark law. There should be no confusion. Everybody knows when this property was landmarked, everybody knows what was landmarked, and everyone knows what is allowed to be altered. There is a mistake in the staff report that I have to report because it highlights a very useful hypothetical comparison. It states that alterations have been permitted by the HPC in the past on the arcade, and this is not so. Alterations have been allowed on the storefronts behind the arcade, but never on the arches or the front of the facade of the arcade itself. This commission would never allow such a thing, and this commission should never allow, the Historic Preservation Commission should never allow the significant alteration of the Neff Lounge. The Spanish-style architecture which is embodied in the Neff Lounge is not open and airy. That is a misstatement. This type of architecture is actually quite dark with small openings. Opening up this is not in keeping with the historic architecture of this project. Allowing the removal of the south wall would substantially and significantly damage irrevocably a city landmark.
And Mr. McCredie, you have extensive expertise in the area of evolving uses for landmark motels, and I'm interested in...
I would just say that in the case of the Hotel del Coronado, there were many areas that we renovated that had to do with food and beverage, and we didn't touch any of the historic structure or elements in the hotel. And I understand the space planning issues that this applicant has with the current layout, but we can't solve their space planning issues on the back of historic preservation. It's very simple.
Thank you. I just want your opinion.
Could I just add that,
Yes,
if
please.
you go to the down to the Riverside Inn, which is well preserved, one of the first examples of hotels on the Mission Revival style, they've actually embraced their history and they've embraced the historic look of their building. And so even though it doesn't have a modern open floor plan where people can move freely throughout, they've made it an attraction of the place to emphasize that history. So I would hope that the designers of the Ojai Valley Inn could put their minds to it and come up with a way that they could preserve this hacienda-style, very historic building, not just for the inn, but for the people of Ojai and for the state of California and the country, that this is one of the first examples of Wallace Neff's work. He won an award for it. It really launched his career, the confidence that Mr. Libby had in him. It was sort of a joint effort between Mr. Libby and Mr. Neff. And I think that all that needs to be taken into consideration and not say, well, we need to have more people moving through this area, and so we have to take out walls. And that it was the mitigation for all of these changes that were made in 2005 was to create a landmark out of this room and out of this structure. And then now to say, well, that no longer meets our needs, so we don't really want it to be a landmark, or we want you to alter the landmark significantly, is just something that shouldn't be allowed, and I hope